お前は俺を切り捨てられない。こうして電話をしてくるのも、俺にどれだけ利用価値があるか理解してるからだ。
Cannot honestly tell you how glad I am that he's not actually a villain. It's good to see him approaching it so tactfully as well. It suits his character and his ego brought up during the end of the 4th season.
調子はいかがです？
だいぶ良くなってきたよ。
Getting a much appreciated reintroduction of this dude and what he went through, alongside a filling up of a potential plot hole regarding why it took so long for him to heal back up.
Whoa, whoa, it's alright, everything will be alright.
It's that time where you check your clocks and notice it's just gone quarter to OP and that time is now. So here we probably get one of the coolest, most badass looking shots in any of the OPs to date of these three mad lads walking in tandem, and then, much appreciated by yours truly, is getting a vibe of what we're up against from the villains to the anti-establishment foes. Just a simple OP, few thrills, decent song and all round good OP. Another all-around good thing worth mentioning, let's see if you can figure it out. It's got global PvP, massive PvE boss battles, and over 600 champions. I'd give you 3 guesses, but let's be real, you already know it. That's right, it's Raid Shadow Legends. If you know me and you know this channel, you know I genuinely love lore, and Raid has it in spades with its new content on the Dark Elves, going over their split from the High Elves and subsequent war fought to no definitive end. Personally, on top of the great lore, I just dig how unique and awesome they look. The detail is incredible, and even more updates are coming to the game very, very soon. I like the game because it's not just a simple button bashing experience that happens to look great, it's got detail in its lore, in its boss fighting mechanics, and in its varied locations and PvP and PvE battles. And this month, Raid's got a non-stop schedule of special events, including a jam-packed Halloween lineup nearing the end of the month. We're talking big rewards and tournaments versus other players, fragment events to get brand spanking new legendary champions, and more. And if you want a big head start, all you have to do is hit the link in the description or scan the QR code here on screen. New players will get an epic hero who is amazing in the Doom Tower, 200,000 silver, 1 XP boost, 1 energy refill, and 1 ancient shard so you can summon an awesome champion as soon as you get in game. I mean, look at this cool ass champion you get for free. Not gonna lie, she's fine as heck. She gets her own win. So join up quick to get your extra rewards, where you'll find them in your inbox for the next 30 days only. It's that easy. Click the link in the description or scan the QR code, play like crazy, and I'll see you in the game.
Raid Shadow Legends.
大晦日全寮制化の経緯から規制は難しいと思われたが、プロヒーローの護衛付きで生徒は1日だけ我が家に戻れることになった。
Once again, just casually reversing up that cement truck and filling in a potential plot hole as to how they could casually travel home when there's so much danger out there. You go, boys!
ハンカチ持った？風邪ひかないようにね。またメールしてね。
Mama Midoriya being an absolute Mama Midoriya.
下っ端のお前ではせいぜいヒーローネットワークを除く程度だが、ナンバー2である彼はそのさらに奥へと通ずる。ずっと見ていたぞ。ブラックを買いかけて慌てていたな。
I don't really understand what the heck just occurred, but you best believe I'm here for every damn bit of it. Let's proceed with mild caution.
ようこそエンデバーのもとへ。
なんて気分ではないな。
I can't help it. I do still like Endeavor, so sue me in it.
エンデバーのもとへ3人でいいじゃないか。ぜひ揉んでもらいなさい。
I think it's fair to say that All Might continuing to be in this anime will always continue to be a win. It's rare for a lad to get that win, but hey, it's All Might, you feel me?
申し訳ないが、ショート以外に構うつもりはない。
私は宇宙からの啓示を得た。逃げよ国民たちが。
Slightly loud, but not too loud. Emergency out of nowhere plot twist of mild, but not too loud concern and worry.
迅速なんてもんじゃない。
I really like how they show him essentially burning off his civilian clothing. Sure, it's going to cost some money to replace your wardrobe every 5 minutes, but it sure gets you into your costume quickly. Oh, that's incredibly badass right there. That looks sick!
Yes, Master!
Not only understanding that this was a plan to lure out Endeavor, but then 50% of the win is just for how quickly they were able to put an immediate stop to the attack.
監視されてるんで、今はこんな伝え方しかできないが、気づいてくれよ、ナンバーワン。
なんだこの違和感は。
That was super unexpectedly intense right there. Wow!
速さっつうなら時代の先を読む力がつくと思うぜ。
渡すのも早すぎる男。あの速さの秘訣が隠されてるかも。
そんな君のために持ってきてました。
用意がすごい。どこから？
Midoriya pointing out what's going on in the scene is actually hilarious, from where he brought the books out from suddenly to how he passed them out super quickly.
爆豪くんとショートくんは初めてのインターンってことでいいね。今日から早速。
I like her. Not much else to say, really.
出動要請です。
場所は
エリア37です。
パトロール班に至急連絡しろ。
ここからだと遠い。
This demonstration of what life is like at an agency right at the very top of the ladder, since we've seen before now many agencies, but the vibe has been totally different due to the smaller nature of them.
2番目
Sudden unexpected first-person reading of a language I sadly cannot understand of that!
数10万以上
Over 100,000? Goodness me, I did not expect that. And then the knowledge that it'll all be kicking off in just 4 months' time got me feeling like the old days when we got 6 months to train in Dragon Ball Z before the enemy got there. Another great My Hero Academia ED, and this one really does slap suddenly in the second half with its banging tune and simple visuals. Nice and sweet and to the point, just like this win.
今後も活動は続けます。
おいホークス、お前すげえ頑張るな。いいやつだな。悪人だろ。
He's a villain, but I really cannot not appreciate the way his character speaks. I love that.
聞こえてるぞ。
よろしいでしょうか、スピナー。
ああ、選手たちの士気を維持しておけ。
いよいよやっちゃうんですね。
Understanding that they're not randomly giving him all of the information to their plan, but that he got it by listening in, makes it so much more realistic to the story.
ここは入れません。
食堂に行きたいんですけど。
入れません。
That dude is freaking creepy, bruh, and I'm loving this mansion filled with enemies. This is going to be incredibly legit.
見たところ、あまり成長してねえみてえだな。見くびってくれて助かるよ。
Finding a way within the confines of the story by which to push these three to the forefront once again in a way that makes sense. Otherwise, if done poorly, it would simply look like Midoriya and crew constantly find their way into going up against the villains. So this was well executed and adds more tension to the story and their characters.
君は強い。君の仲間たちも強い。
It's brief, but I super appreciate seeing everyone like this so we get a feel for what they're up to at the same time, and it's a plus that the song is good too. Also, it feels like a good way of also showing us what they're fighting for as we see them all of them fighting for good in their world.
少しオーバーするんです。この状態では怪我こそしないもののきしむような痛みが出るので動きに支障が出ます。なので瞬間的に
It's hard to fit a me on the screen above Todoroki and Bakugo, but just imagine it's there.
長くて何言ってんのかわかんない。
つまり活動中常に綱渡りの調整ができるようになりたいと。
はい、わかったんかい。ナンバーワンは伊達じゃない。
難儀な個性を抱えたな。君もこちら側の人間だったか。
Midoriya's reaction here made me genuinely laugh out loud when I saw it, but I also wanted to shout out the recall to past events. I love that their history isn't just being forgotten about, or at least just the previous season being mentioned, but instead it's delving comfortably back to Season 2's events, just showing their evolution as characters and how their personalities have changed, especially Endeavor's here.
エンデバー、結局俺はお前の思い通りに動いてる。
I love how during his son's monologue that he has this solemn look on his face, like worry and regret.
俺はヒーローのひよっことしてヒーローに足る人間になるために俺の意志でここに来た。俺がお前を利用しに来たんだ。
This whole scene is fantastic for their character's evolution as mentioned during win number 236, and I think what impresses me the most is the mangaka being able to juggle their stories perfectly, rather than leaning in far too hard on Midoriya, especially this far into the story at large. Just imagine if this was yours. If it was mine, I feel like after this long I'd be delving into Midoriya constantly, leaving others behind. But here we get Bakugo's drive to learn more about his weaknesses that he hasn't found yet, and Todoroki finding a way to look past his hatred of his father in order to continue his journey and evolve. In short, I'm just super impressed by that continued commitment to them as characters, and of course so many others in their class, and even a little in Class B too. Good use of CGI.
事件事故があれば誰よりも早く現場へ駆けつけ、被害が拡大せぬよう野獣馬がいれば熱で遠ざける。
I think another element to the overall story worth praising here is how in depth it delves into the work of a hero. It would be so easy and probably widely accepted to merely say they're heroes who fight crime, but instead there's so many aspects to it, from rescue services to crime fighting to protecting bystanders, even ranging to keeping buildings and property safe whilst conducting work, and I appreciate all of that.
バクゴ、気づいてるか？
てめえが気づいて俺が気づかねえことなんてねえんだよ。何かと言ってみろ。
ちっせ。
Bakugo being Bakugo.
ここは授業の場ではない。噛み合わなければ落ちるのは成績じゃない、人の命だ。
He's not only imparting a lesson, but at the same time doing it in what can only be described as an epically badass style that's actually worth its own win.
ショートはどちらも途上。まずは点での放出だ。氷の形状をある程度コントロールできていたな。あのイメージを炎で実践してみろ。
At this stage, it's again worth it to praise the building of quirks. Just like in previous seasons and videos, I continue to be so utterly impressed by how each quirk started so basic, and each of them has now expanded massively. It's thrilling to watch, and I adore the creativity. They can take a final win here for episode 15 due to Midoriya's monologue. I liked his thought process, going over how much he's been forced to learn, train and experience in order to contain and use this enormous power gifted to him by All Might. It was well put.
ねえねえ、どうして新しいコスチュームを作ったの？理由があるの？教えて。
I still really like her. She's very cute.
みんな、インターン初日お疲れ様。
ささやかだけど歓迎会よ。
美味しそう。爆発した秘密工場なんですけど、倉庫にあるはずだったトリガー生成用の薬品が全てなくなっていたそうですよ。噂では爆発前にすでに盗み出されていたとか。
Also doing such a nice job of getting storylines like this at the forefront of our minds so as not to be forgotten about. They've done it a few times also linking in the movies, which is a nice touch even if not done very overtly. This anime hates to forget about anyone! This dude and this lady were in a single episode of season 2, and here they are again! Unexpectedly detailed looking scenery shot.
船長とシリウスさんにはヒーローにとって大切な心得を教えてもらったわ。
It's funny how I mentioned during win number 238 about how I enjoyed the development of so many characters, and now all of a sudden we're shifting gears for a moment and slowing down a little to focus on other class members and the things they learned and are learning during work studies. Just such dedication to the characters. Dedication! Unexpected win alert!
てめえどこから。
I liked that because I feel like in most other anime, it had just allowed him to inject randomly and then had to have fought him powered up and gotten themselves a sin for doing it. But here he takes the initiative and quickly attacks. Brilliant example right here to go alongside a previous win discussing the evolution of their quirks, as here we see how their costumes can be upgraded like hers to allow new abilities to be used alongside their quirk. I just enjoy the notion that quirks can be improved upon all the time and costumes, allowing for so much change down the line. This whole scene showing her refusal to give up, her saving the day not once but twice, and also the culmination of her efforts to improve. If you think about how she started off in season 1, able to make something float for a short time but then throwing up constantly, to now, it's immense. One more win getting dropped for the end of this episode for the obvious, but also the little info drop about where this stolen chemicals cargo was heading for. A country in Europe. Is it possible my hero is, for the first time since the first movie, looking to delve outside of Japan a little at some stage? Such an awesome visual with them running on over and him appearing.
自分が家族のために 今さら何ができるのか。毎晩考え眠りにつく。
This continued progress surrounding his character, how he regrets the past, how he wants to build a future where he's able to live alongside his family. I mentioned it during the first half, but I adore how he hasn't just been forgiven. That would be way too quick, and so this pace is perfect for his character. Lastly, I think it's ideal how he's not just bawling his eyes out constantly for viewer sympathy. Instead, he's silently tormented more than anything. Even though this is clearly a lot of recap, I kind of feel like it's allowed in this instance to build what's no doubt coming for his character, since a lot of it has occurred over the past 4 seasons, as he dwells on the most important bits which led to who he is this day.
おはよう、翔太くん。
緑谷、爆豪、昨日は惜しかった。
Not walking on the spot.
1分1秒を惜しめ。事件が起きる前に防ぐ。そのために必要なものは観察眼。
A bit of a random win here, but I feel like dropping one for how hard his character must have worked during All Might's reign at the top. Just non-stop hard work, pushing himself constantly, and yet never ever once reaching the same level or even close. That must have had such a negative impact on him. Well, we know it did, but it just reminded me seeing his work ethic here.
姉さんが飯食べに来いって。
なんでだ。
試合だからいいだろ、緑谷。
なんでじゃ。
Bakugo's reactions here. Man, it's like food wars up in here with that high quality, actually all-my looking food. It's super appealing to me to get to see all of these together enjoying a meal like this. It's great to sometimes have that downtime, and it's something I talk about many, many times over numerous anime. I like it.
席には着いたよ。もういいだろ。ごめん姉ちゃん。やっぱ無理だ。
Just to lightly touch on it one more time, I feel like the storyline is expertly handled. It would be so easy to microwave it, to get your characters where they need to be done, but instead it's carefully cultivated by slowly progressing so many characters. I'm in awe of that, truth be told. I'm so glad to have seen this little scene, finally letting us know that his mother immediately snapped out of whatever horrible thing she was feeling at the time and panicked, regretting her actions and trying to help her son right away. Almost makes me tear up hearing that, actually.
かき招くならセンシティブなとこ見せんなや。まだ洗いもんてるけ。あ、いけない。ごめんなさい。晩飯とか言われたら感じいいのかと思うわ普通。
I love how Bakugo is genuinely annoyed that he's probably being made to feel things about his rival that he doesn't want to be feeling, and so has an outburst like this. Also, he probably really enjoyed the food and now feels that it's been ruined.
お父さんのことが本当に大嫌いなら許せないでいいと思う。君はとても優しい人だから待ってるように見える。
Oh, he's such a sweetheart! Damn, that entire scene was brilliantly done!
その中にお前もいてほしかった。トウヤ。
Yes, please, just sign me up for more information on that topic. I'm all in, bruh. Take your win. Great episode.
お疲れ様でした。エンデバー。
オールマイトなら30分早く事件を解決していたと、そう思っているか。
いいえ。
Beautifully bringing up something I only winned a couple episodes ago about his state of mind during the reign of All Might, his struggles mentally, pushing and pushing, yet never achieving his goal. I'm glad it was highlighted here like this.
決まってんだろ。終わらせてほしいんだよ。
Oh, I'm super nervous right now. What the hell are they building up to happening?
ナンバーワンならもっとでけえ車用意してくれよ。 ファイヤーに文句言う高校生か。
アグレッシブな運転手さんだ。
Oh, that gets a win all day long. Him being suddenly and unexpectedly aggressive back to Bakugo, actually shocking him for once. Oh, that was amazing.
頭引っ込めろじゃねえか。車さん、ミスの白線だ。喋るな、下かむぞ。
Big props for actually animating the car rather than relying on CGI right here. Now enough about that because there's a bloody plot twist in front of us.
そのまばゆい炎で俺燃やし尽くしてくれ！
This look on Endeavor's face, mixed with his shouting for him to let his son go, was fantastic. It's like he's so desperate now to protect those he has in his life, and I think you can see that desperation in his face and reactions.
溜めて放つ力の凝縮だ。まずはどちらか一つ無意識で行えるようになるまで反復しろ。
The culmination of their work-studying efforts under Endeavor and his teaching, showing that none of them were merely paying lip service or that the episode covering it was merely to fill time with flashy statements with no substance.
今なら奴よりも早く。
I tell you, I can write these scripts, but I could never write a character arc for someone like Endeavor. That's next level stuff. And his hesitation in the face of his son's prior comments is super indicative of that kind of next level writing for me. Okay, that right there, ladies and gents, that gets this second half its first maximum 2 wins award. That was beautiful to witness Midoriya pulling that out after so much hard work and focusing on Endeavor's words and advice. I loved it. Take another one here for the end to the battle by Todoroki as well, gorgeously utilising both an advanced evolution of his flames and also his ice to speed himself up. It did make me laugh with Bakugo's comment. I thought from a side view he may have suddenly ended up hugging him as well, but I wasn't sure. But it's the sweetness of the moment that's getting 75% of the win.
俺が許す時なんて来ないよ。俺はショートみたいに優しくないから。
俺を許さなくていい。許してほしいんじゃない。償いたいんだ。
You got me. Well played, My Hero Academia.
なんでこっちが能動的に変わらなきゃいけないんだよ。償うって。
They can have another one here for the rest of this scene, likely for the final time, proving how a super quick, unrealistic resolve to their family situation is not how the mangaka wants this to go down.
そこで母さんを迎えてあげてくれ。
待ってお父さん。お父さんは？
自分が家族のために今さら何ができるのか。
Heck, to be honest, the end of this episode deserves yet another win. It's just handling his character arc so well. I'm so impressed by it. Not much else to say that hasn't already been said, other than that it's incredibly admirable for him to take the action of separating himself from his family for their own good.
インターンに明け暮れた僕らの冬休みはあっという間に過ぎ、3学期が始まった。
In some anime, it can feel as though time doesn't pass, but the fact that time is being pointed out to us over and over again is really impressive in My Hero Academia, just always moving forwards.
1週間ではあるが学んだのさ。物腰の柔らかさをね。あ、それ！それそれそれ！絡まった。
これって。
Oh, well, of course. Naturally, this gets its own win. How intriguing!
言ってもまだ一瞬しか出せなくて、用途は限られるんだけど。強い。
Midoriya-kun! Piss! Oh, this episode has got some legit gold comedy coming out so far. All Might must continue to be protected in this world.
ノームとはまさしく人形。石も他の操り人形のはずだった。
Goodness me, if this episode didn't just do a 180 and suddenly become incredibly serious all of a sudden. How well done was that? To start off the episode with so much comedy, to even draw out a compliment from me, to then pull this, that's amazing!
相沢、落ち着き。
血を割らせることができれば一気に大元を叩けるんだが。
Oh ho ho, well played boys and girls, that is super interesting. Even if I don't know the character, to make it be someone they knew from school, who had become a Nomu of sorts, is incredibly great right here. And damn if they didn't make it so tense from the guards and the music and the shaking hand of Mike and so on.
倒壊する建物に巻き込まれ、あっけない死。
My Hero Academia delving once more into its darker side. Always a hard-hitting but still welcome surprise when it occurs.
報告では明確な人格を有し、強者への執着を見せたそうだ。DNA 鑑定の結果、あれの素体は地下格闘で生計を立てていたならず者だと分かった。
Who'd have seriously thought that the mangaka would think this far ahead when creating the basis for this part of the story? I've praised this aspect in numerous anime such as Attack on Titan recently, where its story is developed so far in advance. I adore that creativity!
も違ったし、俺に対して何の反応も示さなかった。
そういう実験をしていたのかもな。
Animating multiple characters moving within one scene.
ご遺族には
君たちでダメなら面会を頼むつもりでいる。
I like this covering of a potential plot hole because it logically makes more sense to use these two heroes who had a close attachment to him rather than dragging his poor old family into it who thinks he has been dead for maybe like 15 years or something. On top of that, if something suddenly went wrong, having heroes there only serves to further help their cause.
俺が拾えないとやり過ごした子猫。迷わず拾ってくるようなやつだった。
That's hard to hear, especially coming from a character as normally cold and closed off as he is. Oh.
除籍と服籍の権限。
はい。自己犠牲と命を捨てることは道義じゃない。それを履き違えた若者に望み通り一度死を与えます。
Using this scene in the episode to further flesh out his character and explain away his actions of the past, which were brought up during season 1 and why he is so harsh on his students after what happened to his childhood friend.
誰がお前を変えた？どこで脳みそいじられた？仏、俺を見ても何も感じなかったのか？
Double win here. Firstly is for the fantastic voice acting from Eraserhead, showing emotions we've pretty much never witnessed from him, kind of blowing me away in the process. Second one is because holy heck, it's actually working!
お前は UA 高校2年 A 組。
俺たちのヒーローを志した。
頑張れ白雲。
白雲。
Not gonna lie, this made me cry quite a bit. Seeing him in so much pain, it felt like. Desperately trying to reach out to his friends with everything he had was one of the best done things I've seen in this amazing anime. I really felt it. It's heartbreaking, to be honest. He really was trying. Damn man, take 2 wins.
誰もかつては生徒で夢を追いかけた。辛い話をさせた。この恩には必ず報いる。
Gran Torino just being a legend, really, fully understanding what he just made them go through, and perhaps what makes it even more sweet is that he still sees them as children due to the age gap, and so feels sorrow, even at their age, for making them go through that. Bless his heart.
いいぞ、Shigaraki Tomura、万事順調。
I'm going to avoid showing too much. Safe to say Shigaraki is going through some painful looking business in his tum-tum, and the doctor seeing to it here is obviously the guy who told Midoriya he would never get a quirk from back during episode 1 of season 1. What?! Plot twist!
これは神のでオール・フォー・ワンが使った個性。
Dude, that's such a stupidly inventive alternative teleportation quirk.
なんだこりゃ。
Seeing the super uber powerful set of different Nomus for the first time, and man, they'd be freaky looking.
誰も助けてくれなかったんだね。辛かったね。
At long last, finally getting to witness some more events about his childhood, since I think it was very first teased all the way back during the second half of the second season.
もう大丈夫。僕がいる。
I shouted this out, I think, during the first half video of Season 3, but take that same win here once again for the evil alternate to All Might's famous line.
君の家族の残骸だよ。思い出せるかい？
Wow! Just wow, it gets so much worse than previously thought when you understand that the hands are from his family members, I guess? Maybe he's keeping them close or something? And then we see the first time he freaks out when stressed and begins to scratch his face, which he did a lot of during Season 1 when dealing with a still powerful All Might in battle. This scene giving us a really weird understanding of what's going on, almost feeding into his video game-like comments from the first season, as he's essentially leveling up in order to gain an end prize reward, and they go into quite a bit of interesting detail surrounding the events too.
そのわずかな金で戸川ダッフルコートを買いやがった。
の恋。
I still like her in spite of her being a villain, and I dare you to try and stop me!
何者だてめえ。
異能解放軍最高指導者リ・デストロだ。
Getting our first proper look outside of the OP at the anime's newest villains. I'm getting hyped!
潜伏解放戦士116516人。すでに決起の準備はできている。はったりだろう。
This is not sounding good!
君たちは名を上げすぎた。我々の手で潰し、解放軍再臨ののろしとする。
This just became 50% more intriguing since they really circumvented how I thought this would all go down. Naturally, I thought they'd team up, but no, that's really not the case yet anyway. Loving it! This brief little tidbit of information goodness letting us in a touch more on the origins of quirks and how people reacted to it, bringing us full circle back to the present and the popping up of this now refreshed army.
ノームの使えぬヴィラン連合など一回のサークルでしかない。
I suppose even if it's just small fragments being shown, a brand new Quirkado related win is required for all of these visuals from all of these minor quirks on display. Creativity! Not giving yourself away before you attack, so not a cliche.
キルキチとせ解放コードキュリオス異能地雷触れたものを起爆装置に変える
Insert Killer Queen related JoJo reference of win-worthy mention for the happy reminder.
戸賀家長女8月7日生まれ17歳中学卒業式出席後失踪ご両親への突撃取材
Huge and quite frankly surprising volume of animation right here in this bomb-filled alleyway. Wow now, that's creepy!
何をしてるの
その笑い方をやめなさい
I'm not showing it, but so much weird kind of violence, man. My Hero Academia super delving into its dark side when it comes to her character, not being afraid one iota to demonstrate her insane and dark twisted childhood. Slightly cropped because of internal red body juice art style change. Even though it feels slightly wrong to be using it on a villain like her, this is a good time to shout out not only this song, but the continued greatness of My Hero Academia's epic soundtrack in general.
女子高生のふりすると世間はちょっぴり優しくなった。捕まらないように、捕まらないように、捕まらないように。
Learning that she can actually use stolen quirks, but also her incredible speed and determination to not only live, but also remain free and to get away was excellently demonstrated right here.
またフラッシュバックだ。記憶にないのに感情だけは覚えてる。
Even though it's very brief, we finally saw him as a kid with his grandmother and All Might's predecessor!
なんでだっけ。
大丈夫だよ。私は。
And who the heck is this now?
知らないようだから教えてやる。僕は氷を操る。
Just some examples of genuinely great CGI use right here.
ダメだ生きてくれ君は連合のみんなは俺の居場所なんだ
Awesome to see this side to him. Like, we already knew he had a crush on her, obviously, but it's the display of emotions that I can appreciate from a villain and is always worth praising.
なぜ己の価値を理解してない。お前は解放軍に引き入れる。
Nice twist of an ending as well, doing away with the simple premise of villains taking on villains, which was in itself already a twist, albeit a simple one as stated, but now introducing the notion that they aim to capture twice opens up possibilities to learn even more about his character, and I welcome that. The voice actor just does a really nice job here, and the animation suits the scene perfectly too.
おめえが晴れた男な、お得意さんとこの役員だってよ。
両親は俺が中学の頃に亡くなった。ヴィラン犯罪に巻き込まれて。
This is exactly what I was talking about 2 wins ago, and I'm glad to see more of his character. What drove him to where he is now, outside of the obvious incident with the clones that we're already aware of. I'm also a big fan of learning about why villains are the way they are, rather than being bad for the sake of it. If the writer can elicit feelings of sympathy for a villain, then they've done an unbelievably good job. It is such genius to make it so that his character has been avoiding danger at all costs because he feared all along that he was a copy and would disappear if he took too much damage. Because now their miscalculation has resulted in his understanding that he's in fact the original. That was so well done. That!
愛と勇気が塗りつぶしてくれたよ。
よくわかんねえけど、ヒーロー物語の1話目みてえだな。ヴィランだろ。
This guy just gets it.
その光景。
Movements like this are amazing to accentuate his character's speed and strength. It's kind of similar to how Attack on Titan would do it.
つかなんでお前自分増やせてんの？
あ、そっか。ダビとコンプレスには道中合ってなかったな。克服したんだよ。
Man, it's no wonder he became confused after creating so many copies of himself back in the day. I'm already kind of confused, but I understand pretty much. I don't understand at all. That was a twice joke. No, it wasn't. That certainly is worth another unique Quirkado win. Goodness me, boy.
女性は小さな声で世の中に訴えた。これはこの子の個性です。反異能の人々に殺されたからだ。
個性の母だろ。バカにしてんの。
He actually added an origin to where the term quirk originated from. Information I never knew I actually wanted.
そしてヒーロー。ビジランテの流星とともに政府も混乱を是正し始める中、政策の一環で彼女の訴えが
Rotating view with a pretty much continuous motion shot to boot. Unexpected plot twist.
お前がボスか。
答えを聞きそびれてしまったな。
I'm so glad that they made this guy a bit of a legit badass. I really thought he was going to be pretty much a one and done episode bad guy, but instead he's powerful, and as a result their battle feels all the more tense, even though they're both villains. Get out of it!
異能仙道、彼の声に宿る特殊な電磁波は彼に心を許す者を高揚させ、肉体精神をブーストさせる。
This is going to sound random, but as a history buff, this just made me smile, thinking that Alexander the Great and Julius Caesar probably had this quirk. But yeah, just made me chuckle as the quirk is really unique in that aspect.
今の気分
This just got super intense and real all of a sudden, and Shigaraki has become super powerful!
お父さんにはね、お嫁さんになりたいってやってるの。ほら行こう。
Ah, these moments are so rare and precious, and I'm dying to see more of them. I think the only thing as valuable to me in this anime are scenes of a younger All Might and witnessing more about those who held Midoriya's power before him.
5本の指でなければ発動しないと。
You gotta love that. Just like I mentioned before about the continuous creativity involved in evolving each character's quirk, and then suddenly we get villains in this episode and the last improving their own. Dedication!
早い。予備動作の最小限。
That was legit!
ストレスアウトプット
Yeah, they can have a Max 2 Wins award here. That was amazingly animated, and to get it from a fight between two villains is so randomly awesome to witness that I'm loving it. Oh my god, it's happening, and the other guy is super huge and powerful. What happens now?
ヒーローの話をしてはいけない。
もう夕飯。それにアレルギー。またひどくなってるのに。
If I had to guess, this is due to his mother being a hero. Either she had passed away by this point, or her actions were causing stress in their family. But regardless, this is amazing to be witnessing. I'm not kidding.
この人、おばあちゃんなんだって。ヒーローなんだって。
花ちゃん、なんでこんなの僕に。
He knew who his grandmother was all of this time. The question now remains, is he aware of the fact that All for One is the person who took her out?
天候書斎に入ったな。
雨上がりの湿気が荒れた肌をチクチク刺して。腹の底から痒みが湧いた。
This is just awful, really. Betrayed by his sister, not wanting to be punished and putting the entire blame on him, and then seeing his terrible father? Man, it's no wonder he turned out the way he did. And the mangaka is officially making me feel sorry for him. How you doing it? Witchcraft?
小太郎はお母さんのこと嫌いになっちゃうかもだけど、お母さんは小太郎のことがずっと大好きだよ。小太郎大好き。
This now makes a lot more sense, and I suppose she was attempting to do right by the gift given to her of One for All, in that if she had a family and was publicly fighting people like All for One, that he definitely would have targeted them at some stage. So she did the only thing she could once it was inherited and left in order to protect them. Man, oh man, what brilliant storytelling, and again, as you can likely imagine, I'm loving seeing it. That's one of the worst things I've ever seen.
謝りに来てくれたんでしょ。ねえ、なら今度は守ってよ。助けてよ。
すごく悪いヴィランが僕らを狙ってるんだと思った。
Okay, I've composed myself a little after what happened to the dog, so now let's discuss the epicness of this scene and his backstory. The mangaka has taken him from being this horrible figure of evil to being utterly understandable given his past. For this to have happened to him would have broken absolutely everyone. In many ways, it probably felt like he was evil purely because of the nature of his quirk, destroying everyone close to him. I'd go as far as to say that this right here is the greatest villain backstory I've ever witnessed. Utterly incredible, heart-wrenching, and very much worthy of another Max 2 Wins. That's so sad, and his mother did try, just not enough. Oh man, this is horrible. What a horrific looking image, but beautifully animated at the same time.
これからどうしたらいい？誰か、誰でもいい。
すぐヒーローか警察か誰か来るからね。おばちゃん会社行かないとだからね。
Lots and lots of lovely animation where they could have been lazy and either done CGI or not even bothered to show it so up close.
あの時もし誰か手を差し伸べてくれてたら。
I always thought that maybe All Might had been unable to save him, that someone else had done in his family, but now it turns out that his hatred of All Might was because he wasn't there to help him when he needed it with a helping hand, and that sadly the one who did turn up was his enemy.
だってめえは俺らが歩いてんだよこの道を。
心のままに動けばいい。でなければ君一人が苦しむだけだ。
It's crazy just how much of an evil person he is, orchestrating all of this, pushing a child to do evil himself, even though he's so badly traumatized.
良心、道徳、倫理、全部誰かが作ったものだ。
Also, shout out to the voice actor. I've winned him in previous seasons, but I think it deserves another one here for how different it is to his other roles. Like, I just played Fire Emblem Three Houses on the Switch, and he plays your father on there, and his voice is so different to here. By the way, what a fantastic game that is. I'm going to replay it in a few weeks' time, actually. Oh, anyway, back to the video. Ding!
なんでかわかんないけど、嫌な気持ちが溢れて止まらなくなるんだ。抑えられないんだ。
It's sad to see how he went from being a sweet, loving and good-hearted child to the monster he becomes, because clearly there was a part of him, even in that alleyway, that didn't want to do bad things, but he was just pushed and guided to that over time.
気持ち悪い。吐き気がする。なのになんでだろう。
I'm obviously going to avoid chumming it, but I also wonder if linked to the previous win, this is why he sometimes throws up after doing the things he does? Maybe because a tiny part of him still rejects and regrets the actions? I don't know, but it's an interesting thought.
なものも全ていらない。ストレス 100%。
This is getting so legit again!
デトネラット社金星地下増幅高圧機構クレストロ
It keeps getting more legit! He has now become so utterly powerful, and the power-up of his quirk actually makes sense now as well. It's like he's now able to instantly use his quirk continuously upon touch, thus any impact is basically negated? What a clever way to do it! Now this makes sense, and big thanks to the bunch of random commenters, by the way, who told me this was him when I thought it was a different villain, but I guess it's not the worst spoiler in the world, thankfully. Basically, the birth of the next true successor to All for One is complete, and come full circle in what can only be described as a brilliant few episodes.
デトネラットの社長だから金あるよな。平穏な街を襲った悲劇。犯人グループは偽の情報でヒーローを街の外へ誘導し、計画的に襲撃を実行。
He's also displaying a maturity for the first time via his actions here, because in the past he would have cast aside his enemies, entirely destroying them like he did to Overhaul, but here he uses his head, and with his former enemy constructs a story to make sense of what happened whilst hiding the truth to the world. Also though, credit to the mangaka for adding this into the story, otherwise it would have left so many unanswered questions as to how an entire city gets leveled and no one asks any questions about it.
時間だ、来い。
うるせえ、まだ寿司食ってるでしょうが。
だいたいその寿司はうちの金で買ったものだな。
I'm really happy it was decided to not just throw away all of these new characters on a story purely intended to force forwards the journey of Shigaraki and instead keep them in it, now working alongside the villains.
ようこそ集まってくれた解放戦士諸君異能解放軍リ・デストロである。
This right here is an amazing look at the power the enemy has managed to amass, especially with that giant ass dude in the middle looking huge. I'm once again super nervous for the heroes, more so than I have been in a very long time.
さあその名を信楽田村
頂上解放戦線ヴィランの名を排し異能の枠組みをさらに広く解釈できるものとした。
Even though it's not as catchy as one might think at the start, the reasoning behind it is very much solid. Casting aside the name of villain was a good touch for their ideals moving forwards.
また壇上の9名を行動隊長に任命し、傾向別に部隊編成を行う。
Take another win here as well for the establishment of the new group's leadership, going from a ragtag team of petty villains separately to a well-organized force to be reckoned with.
生きてんのが奇跡レベルのダメージだったからな。
I feel like it's good to show him like this, rather than immediately being completely back to normal. They've taken the time in his case and twice to show the damage they sustained from their battles. I always prefer that.
これが本物かどうかはともかく、お前は人を一人殺したってわけだ。
Wow, this is amazing! I had wondered what this was about all of this time, although I'm positive that he wouldn't have done anything like that, but still, man, that is intriguing! Also though, I enjoy the simplistic evil notion here from Darby, that still he is naturally doubting him, something I praised back near the start of the video, that they aren't just blindly trusting this hero turned villain, but instead are clearly wary of him as he reminds him here. That's brilliant.
このヒーローあふれる超人社会で死柄木はヒーローたちと同等かそれ以上の力を持ってしまった。
This new look to Shigaraki is fantastic. It's like he's a king now and maybe wearing a black suit as homage to All for One perhaps?
おい、何してるナンバー2。嬉しそうだな。
みんなに紹介頼むよ。
I haven't felt this much pressure since maybe season 1 episode 12 as All Might went up against Nomu, and then again in season 3 as All Might fought against All for One, because it really is hinging on whatever happens next as to whether or not the heroes stand a good chance, and clearly Darby is getting invested in what Hawks is doing, and as stated, it's making this scene be full of intense pressure and making me very nervous, so hats off to them for that.
聞くが、これ以上の力をなぜ望む？
そりゃくれるって言われたらいただくよ。けどこの手を見ろよ。フル1回でこれだ。
Take a win here for not only the notion that he's going to get even stronger than he already is, a frightening prospect, but also I'm enjoying the potential parallels between his arm here and Midoriya after he used his quirk originally.
世代を経るごとに混ざり、より複雑に、より曖昧に、より強く膨張していく個性。
This quirk singularity being brought up again once more, since I believe it was first mentioned way back in either the first or second season if I'm not mistaken. Not only that, but the notion itself is interesting, as it takes into account constantly evolving quirks and how that could eventually cause major concerns for the human race.
乗り越えた時、全てはお前の手のひらの上となる。あのワン・フォー・オールすらもな。
This doesn't sound good at all. The pressure is building and I'm here for every damn second of it. Also though, I know this season has been slated by some for its animation compared to the manga, but as an anime-only fan, I think it's seriously been up to par, and these past few episodes especially have looked great. Terminator reference? Finally getting to see more of these three, members of the class not given much screen time, and how they've been improving their own quirks nicely behind the scenes. Kawaii! The first part of this montage showing off not only what the classmates have been learning, but also who they've been learning under. Also, take another one here, I think, for having Ida work under Manuel, since it was he that he worked under originally in Season 2 when he sought revenge for his brother. So I think it fits nicely for his personality that he stuck with him even after making peace with his situation. Originally, the end of the montage wouldn't have warranted another win, but seeing All Might being so damn proud like a father of Midoriya utterly warmed my heart, and no lie, it was great to see Midoriya really getting control of his new quirk too.
あの時は本当にありがとう。
いつの話をしとるんだい。あんね、あれがきっかけでこのワイヤー導入したの。
Ah, it's lovely seeing these two have a moment together like this. They're so few and far between that they mean a lot more to me when they do happen as a result.
大丈夫。ここは遊泳高校だ。
Oh, she's so adorable, it hurts.
ありがとうございます。
爆豪少年も君どこまで上り詰めるのって具合だ。
やつれ。
I swear in the first season, I found Bakugo more annoying than anything else. But it's more like nowadays, his outbursts are just great sources of comedy for me. Like the timing is just perfect to make me laugh.
結局、すべては分からなかった。だが、進めねばならない。
I think we're about to find out more about the quirks Midoriya is going to be getting. I'm hyped!
All for One は One for All に固執していた。今では考えられないほどに悪が力を持っていた時代、All for One は強いものを徹底的に潰していった。
They rarely tease moments like this from the past, but it's something I'd love to learn more about, and thus I desperately seek every bit of information I can when it props up.
地獄の中をもがき、息絶える中、歴代はこの力に未来を託し、紡いでいった。彼らは選ばれし者じゃない。繰り返される戦いの中で、ただ託されたものであり、託したものだった。
You know, I almost get the feeling here that All for One was directly or indirectly responsible for each demise of the prior users of One for All. It's almost poetic that he would seek to crush it over and over again in fear of what it might one day become, and yet he is the original source of it. I adore that storytelling, and this just makes it more intriguing and indeed poetic as we hear of the immense struggle for generations to safeguard this quirk and build it even at the cost of their own lives in order to preserve a goodness into the future.
次に習得を目指すのは浮遊。お師匠の個性だ。
And thus this comes full circle in the entire season's plot pretty much. Brilliant.
開きって誰だ？
俺だ。
姉ちゃん泣くぞ！
Oh, it's nice to see comments like this, even if they're so few and far between that it's crazy.
始めよう！
それね、まだ火通ってないよ。
寒いわ、鍋にかけるよな！
After reading some comments talking about how dark the manga was getting, I feared that the Christmas episode would be the last time we would get some light and joy in the series, so this is a most welcome addition, to be honest.
緑谷、ポン酢を取ってもらえるか。
恵まれすぎてる。
緑谷。
That's good.
はい、塚内さんからことづてを。ステインとの面会を遅らせてほしいと。ありがとう。
Whoa, 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 now you can't just suddenly drop that on me! Tell me more, damn it!
生きると決めたんだ。は？苦感がね、ふつふつと湧いてくるんだ。生徒が成長するたびに何もしてあげられない歯がゆさに苛まれる。
Oh man, hearing that is genuinely saddening, but the result of some brilliant writing and character building over time.
ワーカホリックが治ってないんです。
What? For the final time of the video, loads of not walking on the spot.
キーワードは病院。
あら珍しい。先生、おはようございます。
おはよ
う。X デーはもうすぐだ。
They can have one here. 50% of the win is for the reveal that he's a legit doctor, which I did already surmise when I noticed that he looked exactly like the guy from the very first episode, and the other 50% was for this excellent build-up with Hawks at the very end about X-Day. I mean, goodness me, that was some godlike pacing this season to lead into what could be the greatest season yet in 6.
大君1年生、頑張れそう？
我々は後方で住民の避難誘導だ。
超人社会を揺るがすほどの大事件がついに始まる。
The introduction of this likely new character looking at the incredibly badass statue of All Might, and the reveal that X-Day looks set to begin very soon, judging by Midoriya's statement as they continue their training. They can go right on ahead and have a final win here for the season as a whole. I'll be totally honest, I haven't understood the hate. Like, I totally got it with The Promised Neverland, because even as an anime only, it was really evident that so much was skipped, and even I felt that. But I had a job to do covering it, and so did that as professionally and as genuinely as I always do. But for My Hero Academia, it just felt like more of the usual, albeit that perhaps the normal length of time covered did feel shorter, maybe due to the training arc, but that's just me. Overall, a cracking good season all the same, and I really look forward to Season 6. Please be sure to leave a like and a comment to help your boy out. You can obviously also subscribe so that you don't miss me covering the third movie down the road as well. Patreon is, as always, also listed in the description, so do check that out if you'd like to vote in what I cover. And as always, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in Season 6, the third movie, or in whatever video you choose to watch next. Nathan Byrne, Bird Without a Word, Tyler Warner, Ali 50, Kawada Takashiro, Ted L, Isael Caldera, Mr. Waffle 64, Kieran Robinson, Chris Harris, Yona Stahl, Manolo Saucedo Munoz, Steelers, Matthew Blanchett, Kim Munt, Manuel Morales, Conito, Dark Lord Bloody Soul, Blitzcloud, Aurakeeper, Kepha, Juffa 6263, Magnus, Kevin Nelter, Brendan Krier, Kaj Vorzelman, Sean Graves, The Epic Amanda, Galaxy Boss 22, Leaf Arn Hammer, Sentimento, Gaten 2000, Storm 970, Inakami and Water, Your Ed Vincent.